Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and of course, a warm welcome to those of you who are joining for the first time. So, we have something kind of new in the picture between you and your person right now. We're going to look into that. It could be just a shift in the energy, but it's significant enough for me to want to devote a reading entirely to it. And what I'm not sure about is the nature of it. So I don't know if it's more of that full moon energy playing out. But it's easy for me to feel that something has happened. It's not a sharp change like we had the other day where suddenly I received all those emails. It's more like a ripple in the energy, or maybe a large wave kind of coming in during low tide. So we're going to look into that. As always, it's going to be a general reading. It's for all signs, and it isn't going to resonate with everybody. But if it's you, if it's your story, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and of course, give yourself a chance to check out those other videos. So this has been one big connected series of readings. We're going to start by looking at what is in the energy between the two of you, heavy on what's happening in your person's energy. So that's where we're going to start as we get into this energy. Okay, so there is a tower that doesn't want to fall, and we've seen evidence of this kind of energy here lately. A lot of it with the death card being in reverse, sometimes the tower being in reverse. What those two things have in common is that someone doesn't want something to shift, or somebody is trying to keep something from changing. With the death card, it's maybe trying to keep something from ending that really does need to end so that something else can grow in its place. And with the tower card, it's about trying to hold off an emotional shift, an emotional change. Let's see here. So we've got the Nine of Cups in reverse. It's that feeling of, okay, so this is a feeling of I was ready, now I'm not. I thought I knew what was going on. Now I've decided that I'm not completely sure. Don't have a good beat on the situation. So we've got the Nine of Cups here in reverse, and that one's telling us that's the one that feels like I'm not sure what I want, and it's a full stop as a result of not knowing what you want. But not necessarily you. This is more heavily in your person's energy. I had asked the question to get energy that was happening between you, but heavier on your person, because I want to understand what the shift was. But what I'm getting so far is pretty heavily on your person's side. So they have a strength in the area of getting into a situation, taking a couple steps back, looking at the big picture and coming up with a strategy. But for this situation right now, they can't seem to do that. Um, there's still that sense of inevitability that there has been, that we've seen in previous readings. But with this, it's a renewed sense of hope. There is something that has shifted that is creating, I think, a little bit more pressure for your person. And that's what we see here in this Nine of Wands. It's putting them on the defensive because of that feeling of pressure. But it's really like there's a feeling of hope that something could work out better than maybe it has historically looked like it was going to. But there is a desire to really push back and say, I'm not ready to move forward with this, which is what we see with the Tower in reverse. That's it. And this King of Swords, this Nine of Cups that you're seeing in reverse, those feel more like excuses. But ultimately, it is they're not inclined to allow this to change yet, even though they feel more like success could be possible and the inevitability has gotten stronger. This is where we feel that sense of additional pressure, though. Here's the Nine of Wands, and sometimes I like to say that it's that feeling of guarding something, a wall that no longer needs to be guarded. There's a little bit of an element to that, but really it's that feeling of being put on the defensive. And what's extra tough to them about that one is that feeling that they could potentially win. So we've got some wands coming out here. We have the Nine of Wands, and now we have the Six and Seven of Wands. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this one over because it doesn't have that glow to it. So with the Six of Wands, this is that feeling that kind of complements the Star card, but brings it into a very conscious awareness. So the Six of Wands is a card of victory after a long battle. When you hit that victory, you have been through something. And the Seven of Wands is the confidence to do battle. It's that confidence to be able to move forward and really do what you want to do. So this is a difficult place because what I'm feeling like here is your person has entered into a place where they feel like they've turned a corner, but they haven't learned the whole lesson. And that happens a lot with us, where we'll be learning a lesson and we'll get part of the way there, but we don't have all of the emotional intelligence that goes along with it, or we don't have the whole thing worked out. So part of it starts to loosen up, but there's still a hard stop somewhere else. And that's what your person is experiencing. So things have started to loosen up. They feel like they could be successful, and there's this sense of inevitability, but they're not able to loosen up and allow things to come through. So that feeling of the tower in reverse starts to really come out there. They feel like once again they're doubting themselves and their ability to discern what to do in the situation. This is that 10 of cups in reverse. Did not take very long for the 9 and 10 of cups to come out in this one. We've had a lot of those cards coming out. Once again, I would say if this is your reading, you might want to go back and look at some of the other ones, just because of some of what has been showing up in there. And these 9 and 10 of cups, a lot of times they show up in reverse, but they do show up often. The 9 of cups is that lesson that we've been getting about having to take stock and really understand what it is that you truly want, that your person truly wants. Both of you have gotten that lesson, but it's manifested differently in your lives. Then we have the 10 of cups, which is about what do you do when you run across it? What do you do when you run across something that seems like it's too good to be true? How do you manage that? What is the best course of action? Are you supposed to move toward it? Are you supposed to, we are taking this card, are you supposed to, walk away from it if it turns out not to be the thing that you truly want? And it has to do with where you are with those lessons. So everyone is in a slightly different place, but what's happening with your person and where they are in their lessons is that fear is still winning out. It's why you still see such a reluctance to have a valuable, real conversation, And with the Page of Swords, there is this glimmering of hope that is coming in around the edges. And I didn't feel like I was supposed to take this card earlier, and I felt like, well, that's okay. We don't truly need it because the message of it has already come out here. So this feels a little bit like a repeated message to me, where it's saying that there's this new ability and kind of a drive to be able to move forward, but it's not necessarily matching up with the way the fears are still looming so heavily. And these lessons that your person has made some progress on, we've seen that in previous readings too. They're now really doubting that progress and not feeling like they're necessarily ready to move forward. So it's a difficult place to be on their side. But I think this ripple in the energy, kind of with the conflict, and I feel more like I can, but I still feel like I really can't move on this. I feel like that's part of what is creating that ripple in the energy that we can feel this morning. So I haven't heard about it from a bunch of people. It's not like the last time where it was a very sharp change. This is something that I woke up and was like, okay, so what was that? There was a bit of a wave that kind of came through. Like I said, a big wave during low tide. So we're going to look and just ask the question directly. What is new? What is new about the situation? What caused this energetic ripple that we have this morning? Oh, and it's that sense of development. So I'm getting this feeling like I already told you, uh, and, and so the feeling over here, so this Empress is reflecting very much this feeling of the Star card, the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and really to some degree, even this Page of Swords. And it's about this feeling of now I'm capable of doing something that I was not capable of doing before. So this is on your person's side. If you're feeling like there's a big ripple of change in you as well, that's not the one that I'm picking up on. I'm mostly picking up on what's happening here with your person, because as the cards are falling, the feelings are starting to fall into place. Yes, okay, I understand that. I understand what I'm feeling as I sift through this a little bit more, and I don't feel like so much is missing. So I think a lot of this change has happened on your person's side. So let's get in there. Okay, we've got that King of Cups. And the King of Cups, so it did this flamboyant thing where I was pulling it out, and I don't know if you saw that, where the whole thing kind of shifted into the upright. That's significant. This is, okay, so this King of Swords is all about, I'm sorry, King of Cups is all about integrity, transition, emotion, and being able to have that emotion, but there's always this limitation, and we've talked about that. There's always some kind of limitation to the emotion, that makes it so that there are edges to it. And when we see it in the reverse, that's where we're feeling those edges. This is where your person is saying, I have to have more control over things than that. I'm not going to be able to feel so loudly. Like I can't let people see how these feelings are impacting me. They're feeling very much like they can't be vulnerable. So in the upright here, there's this sense of a little bit of that having eroded, a little bit of it having come off, but not all of it. They still have some limits to this, but there's a significant amount of integrity that has come in with this new ripple. This is like something that has happened for them overnight, and they don't exactly know where it came from, because where it came from was things clearing up for them a little bit. Um, Okay, so we've got these two cards that both of them want to be in the reading, and I want to take them in turn. So, with the Six of Swords is the reason why your person has had this shift in their energy, or this ripple, this additional wave in this in their energy. So wow, whoops, I don't know that I want to use the term shift, because it's really something that has been building for them for some time, and it's something that they're healing. They're healing and getting better about. But just not healing completely. So we do have the sense of victory coming after a long battle, but still with the fear winning out in general. Still with the limitations on the emotions. But the reason that they're having that ability to move forward a little bit more now, that feels like that ripple, is because they've moved into a place where they're better able to reflect on what's happening inside them emotionally. So that's a pretty significant thing. They're able to see it, and that's going to help them to not necessarily help them to heal, but help them to find that path toward healing. There is still this little bit of an impasse inside of them, and I'm going to set it over here because it fits so well with this King of Cups card. But that's that feeling of something that needs to end that isn't ending. We've got the Four of Wands here, and it is so. I only know about these next two cards that definitely want to be in. Yeah, I guess they're all in here. Sometimes it's the top card, sometimes it's just the top couple. I don't know how far it's ever going to go. And so if you ever see me turn them back over, it's because I don't want to distract you with whatever is has turned over but isn't supposed to be part of the reading. So the Four of Wands in reverse. The Four of Wands in reverse is about instability, but in this case, it's about instability that is coming as a result of this new calm that has shown up. So it's calm, like you went from really tumultuous waters to calmer waters, and now you're able to see your reflection and actually reflect on the situation. So this is your person. They're able to now reflect on their situation a little bit better, and they're able to say, oh no, I'm able to see this new truth. This is what I was avoiding. This is the sort of thing that they feel like you've been bringing out in them. They feel like you've been showing them, but it's an uncomfortable new truth for them. This is relevant to the thing that wants to change or that needs to change, but they don't want to change. And it is also causing a sense of instability in them as a result of basically not being able to get past this. So there is a need for them to do a little bit of healing, and we would call it the inner child healing. But and that's the way that they would have to get at it. Basically, there is something in them that is a little bit of a weak link. So they when they have an experience that sets them off or triggers them, they immediately start to spiral into this lack of self-trust and wonder, how much of this is coming from them. And so you'll find them with a strong recognition that things are coming partially from their side, but not necessarily knowing how to fix it. And it has everything to do with being able to face these truths that were coming at them, that have been coming at them, that came to them as a result of your relationship. So this wave that's just happened has given them kind of a new ability. It's given them a little bit of development, or it's where their development is starting to connect with an ability to understand what they've been learning. We saw in a recent reading that that your person is having a tough time with what they've been learning and really putting it into play, which means that the relationship that they may find themselves in isn't necessarily going the way that they would want for it to go. Um, okay, so we've got a couple of cards that want to go out, but I'm gonna talk about them in a very specific order because it's because that's just how it wants to be talked about. It's so interesting the way these cards come out when I do this spread because the flow is incredibly strong. I almost could just keep going and keep laying the cards down. So I will get back to it. So, this Four of Swords talks about the healing that is now presented before your person because of the shift or the difference, that ripple in the energy that they're feeling. And it really is more of a ripple than an out and out shift. There is still a shift needed. There's a decision needed. So this is the Two of Swords, and it talks about a decision, but you've also got your person walking a tightrope here. They're walking a tightrope and trying to balance some things, make some good decisions. This is their day-to-day balance that is suffering, and they feel like it's going to suffer, especially because they feel that hit to their Four of Wands, that hit to their overall stability and balance. They've got some things that they need to face, but there is a realization in there somewhere, that they are going to be able to handle this. They're just really still feeling like they're not necessarily prepared. What's happened with this shift is they've become a lot more prepared, but there is still this feeling in them, just like with the Death card in the reverse. They're not willing to confront it yet, even though they are able to see the need ever more clearly. So that's kind of what's happening with the shift in that energy. So that explains. I felt like there was a ripple, but I couldn't. It didn't feel like a drastic shift like we had the other day. Like I said, it felt more like something has something big came through and just pushed through a change. And so now we see that that change has a lot to do with some development on their side, but we also see that it's a little uneven when we get into their energy. So we're going to get in now and see what how this relates to you as far as if there's anything that you should be doing, because I think when we get into the extended reading, we will look into this a little bit more and just kind of, I want to combine these two together to see a little bit more about this shift that has happened with your person, and then let's also get their emotions on the situation when we get into that. But before we do, I want to talk about you a little bit, and it's basically, what should you be doing? What do you need to know? What does this shift mean? What does this shift mean for you? And of course, we will probably look into, yikes, we will probably look into that in the extended reading as well. So those cards just kind of flipped out, and sometimes when that happens, you want it, and sometimes you don't. I set them like this so that they feel right. I'm having one of those days where the cards really got to be a certain way, otherwise, like they just sing better. The vibrations are better. It's hard to describe. Anyway, so we've got a little bit of mystery here, and we've got you getting used to it. That's something that you've been working through and working through. Again, we saw making some decisions with less information. We saw being okay with things that haven't really truly landed and gotten stable yet. So this Four of Wands energy that your person is feeling coming toward them, you're the one that's kind of maybe even more quickly becoming the master of this. But ultimately, both of you are going to be able to be comfortable in situations that are frankly not super comfortable. The Hierophant is talking about your own guidance, your own spiritual guidance, and a need to continue seeking that. Continue seeking it. Don't worry that it has to come from one place. Don't feel like it needs to come from one source. You know, it doesn't even have to come from one direction. Good advice is good advice is good advice, basically, is what this card wants you to know. And also that you're going to be more comfortable in taking good advice from different sources as you become more comfortable getting in those uncomfortable situations where maybe you don't have all of the resources and guidance that you would ideally have. So you've got the Three of Wands here, and we're getting a little bit into this lesson again about the discomfort and feeling like you can jump into things even when you haven't had ample time to prepare for them, as long as your expectations are not in the wrong place. So we've got the Nine of Pentacles, and this is a feeling of discombobulation. So you may feel a little bit of discombobulation with this, but be aware that it is likely to be followed by something that really revs you up. So If you're feeling a little out of sorts today, I know where I am. It's just kind of a little bit overcast. It's a little bit not, the energy isn't moving real fast around me, and I would have to bring my own energy to something that I'm going to do. But it feels like when the clouds clear, this is an emotional thing, may not, be happening in your weather. You could look outside and it could be very sunny. But it's going to have behind it, when the spiritual clouds clear from that, you're going to have something that is likely to rev you up, and you're encouraged to get into it. Just go ahead and get into it, manifest. This is the Magician card, coming off of the Ace of Wands, wants to be next to the Ace of Wands, and it's talking very much about take this and run with it. When this energy comes to you, take it and run with it. It could be the thing that we've been hearing about that's supposed to set your soul on fire. Maybe it's just something that's kind of fun, but it's going to absolutely, you'll have an opportunity to run with it, and you're encouraged to take that, because this sense of discombobulation and this sense of a lack of self-worth, that are kind of, they're hovering in you right now. You've made some strides in that area, but you've got more strides to make. Um, and it's just going to be, that's an important energy for you as you're moving through this next transit. I dropped one on the floor, but it fell face down, so we're not going to take that one. I know we want at least one more card. I can always tell when we want at least one more. I can't always tell how many more. These fell on the floor, and we are going to use them. Okay, so the Chariot card, oh, we only want the top one. So the Chariot card is, in reverse here, is talking a little bit about, I got to put it over here, I think, because it's talking a little bit about kind of what's working against you. There is going to be a desire to maybe dig your heels in and try to, take a break. The learning gets a little bit overwhelming, and it feels like, you've got to absorb some things, but that absorption is going to take place more quickly than you might anticipate. You're going to be in a position to use what you've learned a little bit more quickly than you might have expected, but you may not be, fully able to absorb, all the lessons that come, that kind of like the satellite lessons that come along with it. So you'll get the big picture, but there will be little ways that this could feed into, your life that you may not catch. That's what I'm seeing with this Page of Cups in reverse. So that one, it's not going to impact you. It just takes a little getting used to. I mean, it's not going to impact you strongly, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. You have, some really incredible energy coming your way that if you're able to manifest based on this, energy that has come from for you over here, then you will be able to cultivate a new balance in your masculine energy, a little different from anything that you may have experienced before. So this is going to put you in a fabulous place. And of course, this helps your person as well. So maybe they're able to let that tower fall and start letting something end that needs to end. Both of you have something like that. This may be part of the energy that unlocks your ability, to let something end that that needs to end. So I'm going to go ahead and grab you an oracle card as part of this reading. As you guys know, I always pull out an oracle deck in case we need it, and then sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't use it. And after that, we'll go to the extended. So this oracle card is meant to be kind of an advice card that just pulls everything together and gives you some insights. So we've got wildness and electricity. So the card of wildness and electricity that has come out, and it really, it's this part of the reading right here. So this is for you. This is about taking that excitement when the clouds clear. These aren't bad clouds. These are just kind of, mellow, sit at home and read a book or watch a movie kind of clouds. And then when they clear, you have something on fire behind it that is also not bad, but is kind of exciting. You manifest based on that, and this electricity starts to really build for you. That's going to allow you to start to balance your masculine energy, and it's going to put you in a much better position to help manage, interactions with your person, as well as when the two of you, decide that you want to come back toward one another in reconciliation. This is growing both of you back toward the person that you'll need to be in order to meet in the middle and find that reconciliation. So we are going to go ahead and go to the extended. I'm going to take these two, like I said, and kind of pull them together. This is your person's energy, and this is what has happened in their energy just here recently with that shift or that ripple that has been pushing through a change. It hasn't changed everything, but it has changed some things under the surface. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. And then we'll get your person's feelings on what the situation is now, because we've seen some interesting shifts in behavior across this collective, and I'm curious to see what's building there. So I look forward to seeing you in the extended. The link is down below if you'd like to join me there. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next reading.